everybody. Really glad to be with you. I'm sorry I've missed you the last couple of weeks. It's been a busy time, as I'm sure it is for all of you. I did want to talk with you about a couple of things today. Something to celebrate, and then, of course, as always, something to organize around and make sure to resist. So first, the celebration. Maybe you've heard this, but just wanted to congratulate all of the people within the NDP, within the trans communities across the country, and many, many other allies who have been working very hard to have transgender rights recognized under the Canadian Human Rights Code, as well as recognized under hate speech laws. They were successful. A private member's bill by a member of the NDP passed in Parliament just the other day with a majority, and that majority actually depended on a number of Conservative MPs voting in favor of it, which is really wonderful. That doesn't mean we love the Conservative Party, where they're doing all sorts of other things that are quite despicable. But on this particular issue, 18 MPs, including Cabinet Minister John Baird and Jim Flaherty and others, voted with progressive people in Parliament to recognize and protect transgender, transsexual, gender expression, and those rights under the Human Rights Code and under hate speech laws. This is really significant and a real victory, and I want to send congratulations to all. This was despite some pretty awful rhetoric, very transphobic comments that were directed towards the trans community in regard to this bill by some very ignorant members of Parliament. But despite that, there was success, and that's a really wonderful victory for the transgender, transsexual community right across Canada. So shout out to all of the people who worked very hard on that for years. So we've got progress on the federal front in that area. Of course, we had a budget yesterday from the federal government that shows that there is no progress in many, many, many other areas. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks and months, I'm sure. The budget was very, very vague, didn't have a lot of details. And so what we have to worry about is what's called an implementation bill that will be coming later on, because that bill will contain the details about how the federal government plans to implement their budget. And in the last two budgets, it's been those omnibus implementation bills that have caused so much havoc and changed EI rules, threatened Aboriginal and Indigenous rights in this country, treaty rights, taken protections off environmental protections off of water, just about everything. So we'll see what's to come in that area. But locally, I've got a couple of things I want to tell you about. You'll remember in the last few years now, the issue of queers against Israeli apartheid marching in the Pride Parade has been very controversial. There have been many forces seeking to ban the phrase Israeli apartheid, and so to ban that group from marching in the Pride Parade. Pride, of course, as you'll remember, set up a committee that would take complaints from members of the public or other people in the parade. They looked at the issue of queers against Israeli apartheid. The city staff looked at the issue of the phrase Israeli apartheid and that group marching in Pride. We've been over this many, many, many times, and every time it's been determined that using that phrase, being in a group with that phrase in its name is not discriminatory, is not a violation of anyone's human rights. It has affirmed over and over again that it is legitimate to criticize the state of Israel for its policies towards Palestinian people and for its occupation of Palestinian lands. But even though we've had this conversation many, many times, every year, once again, and we've got to start wondering about the homophobia of this, every year when it comes to Pride, a few councillors raise this again, and I'm sad to say that that's happening. A councillor named James Pasternak, maybe some of you live in his riding, has once again raised the topic and wants the city to deny Pride Toronto its $123,800 cultural grant if it allows Queers Against Israeli Apartheid to march. Last year, the city, in a very symbolic gesture that has happened provincially and federally as well, banned or condemned They can't ban it, but they condemn the term Israeli apartheid. But notwithstanding that, it is homophobic to target Pride in this way. Every year, to make Pride wait until the last minute to know whether or not it has that grant. To Pride's credit, it has managed to overcome a deficit, overcome this kind of ridiculous political posturing, to put on a parade, to be in surplus, to allow groups that may not agree with each other to march in the parade with no incident. The only incident, I believe, last year was Giorgio Mammoliti wandering through the parade filming people and harassing people who were carrying signs in support of Palestinian queers. But nonetheless, this is coming up again. The executive committee, and that's a very conservative committee at the city, is going to be considering this next month. And follow Extra, especially the reporter Andrea Houston, that's extra.ca. Follow her posts about this issue, and you'll find out more information about when the executive committee is going to be considering this. Members of the public can always make a deputation before the executive committee about what they think about this issue and why they want and why the city should leave Pride alone, give it its grant, acknowledge the amazing cultural event that it is, the way that it promotes the progressiveness of the city of Toronto year after year after year, the way it brings tourist dollars into this city, and the way that it leverages many, many millions more dollars than the $123,000 that it gets. So you can go to the executive committee to argue against this. You can also go to city council in May. It'll come before council in May. And we really, once again, I know everybody's tired of this issue, but we once again have to come together and we have to back up Pride. I know we've got criticisms of Pride. I know it's gotten so big that a lot of us don't really find ourselves in it anymore. But one of the places that those of us who are do work in political areas and do feel strongly about the human rights right around the world, one of the places that we can put our support is in support for Palestinian queer people, as well as queer people in oppressed lands right around the globe. And so this is something that is really important for us to get behind. So I hope that you'll be able to do that. Keep an eye on Extra to find out more details about this. I haven't got details yet about when these meetings happen in April, but I'll definitely pass those on as soon as we have them. And the other thing you can do is, if you're a member of another cultural organization that gets money from the city, is that we need all arts and culture organizations in this city to back up Pride. They have done so in the past. It's important to remember that if one organization can be denied city funding because some councillors feel that are offended by the positions that it takes, then any cultural and arts organization can be denied funding. And I guarantee you that everybody can, you know, any arts or cultural organization worth its salt is putting on edgy material. It's commissioning works that push the boundaries, that challenge us. That's what art is all about. It always has done so. And so, you know, what's to stop another city councillor from saying some play that they don't like is offensive? The topic of Palestinian solidarity doesn't just come up at Pride. It comes up in other places as well, in plays, in theatrical productions, in cabarets, in films. Are we going to see the city stepping in to deny and to try to shut down artistic and cultural expression right across this city because those venues dare to take on this issue? We can't let that happen, so let's get behind that. Okay, I've just got a little time left. I also want to let you know that the issue of homelessness, I'm talking with you on March 22nd. It's the second day of spring, but it's minus, you know, it feels like -5 outside. Still having snow flurries. It's still dropping to quite cold at nighttime. As you know, we're all sick of it. But imagine if you were having to live in that. The city claims, and our mayor in particular claims, that there are lots of shelter beds available in this city. What we know is that that is absolutely not true, and that even if it were true, that there are many, many people who are homeless, who are unable to use shelters for a variety of reasons. We need the city to step up. We need more safe shelter beds available for people. We need more shelter beds available to people who drink or use drugs. We need more shelter beds available to women who are homeless, queer youth, and trans people. Just been speaking about them to a great degree. Those are folks who are really vulnerable to homelessness. So the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty has been organizing steadily around this. They have been bringing all sorts of pressure on the city to open up shelter beds. They've gone to the City Hall and Metro Hall to open up emergency shelters, and they're going to do it again. And I encourage you to join them. Thursday, March 28th at 6 p.m. at Metro Hall at King and John Street, there is a rally and an outdoor meal, and where we'll once again hear about and talk about the tragedy and the emergency of homelessness in this city. As well, people are encouraged to go out to City Council on Wednesday, April 3rd at 9:30 a.m. at Toronto City Hall to make deputations about this issue and to demand that the city respond to homelessness, not through denials or pretending that everything is okay, but by actually taking action, adding shelter beds, taking steps to bring people in out of the cold. This is an issue for the summer as well, of course, when we are experiencing heat alerts. These extremes in weather affect poor and homeless people the most. So let's support OCAP and our homeless brothers and sisters by heading out. March 28th, rally and outdoor meal, 6 p.m., Metro Hall, King and John. Go to www.ocap.ca for more info. Thanks.
Woo!